Hello everyone, my name is Salim and welcome to the Markets Breakdown Analysis for Monday, the 6th of November 2023. We'll be breaking down chart on the sections where price will close above potential buys or close below for potential sells as well. So looking at the previous weekly candle, the weekly closed bearish, forming weekly resistance around 2004-400, respecting the weekly resistance formed previously. Now, for this weekly candle to close bearish early in the week last week, we've mentioned how we could potentially see a weekly resistance to be formed. And the confirmation for that was this weekly candle failed to retest this weekly resistance. But then above this weekly resistance, we do have a rejection to the upside on a weekly and the monthly time frame as well. Now we're looking at the monthly time frame. The monthly candle for October closed strong bullish, forming monthly support around 1846, I would say, but closing just below the monthly resistance formed back in May 2023. Now the big question is, are we going to see a continuation to the upside, knowing a monthly support has been formed, or are we going to see a rejection and for price to basically pull back and continue bearish? Now, in my opinion, I think for price to continue bullish, something fundamentally has to change for price to push above this area to continue bullish, because as we can see on the chart, we've had multiple rejection wicks on the left, and each rejection represents something that happened back within those time frames. For example, when you're looking at this level here, we've had back in February 2022, we've had Russia-Ukraine situation, and price made a high. We've seen a retracement. This was from the pandemic 2020. So for price to continue bullish, something fundamentally has to change. So in my opinion, we might see the monthly candle breaking high, forming a rejection, retracing, and closing bearish. Now to break down the chart and looking at the daily candle also for Friday, the daily closed bullish with a rejection to the upside, respecting the daily resistance formed on the left. And now to break down the chart and looking at the 4-hour time frame, and what we can see here is messy range on the 4-hour time frame. So we have the most recent 4-hour support formed around 1984-900. The most recent 4-hour resistance formed on the left around 1999-900. Dropping down to the hourly time frame, and now we have a new range on the hourly. So what we can see here is we have a recent 1-hour support formed around 1990-200, and we have a recent hourly resistance around 1995-300. Dropping down to the 30-minute time frame, and this looks really messy. As we can see, price made a high, retraced, and it was from NFP on Friday. The price starts to consolidate, and what we can do now to identify the no trade zone, based on the hourly, I would say ideally is to wait for price to break and close above 1995-300 for potential buys, and for potential sells is to look for price to break and close. Let's have a look. So let's have a look on the daily. Okay, so 4-hour, hourly, 30-minute time frame. What I would say is potential sells, what we need to do is wait for price to break and close below 1990-200, below this hourly support, and this is going to be the no trade zone. And now to look for potential buys. Now going back to the high time frame actually, and the first thing we can see here is, let's have a look on weekly. So we have a weekly resistance formed around 2004-700. Dropping down to the daily time frame, we have a daily rejection formed on Friday last week. Zooming in and dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, we have a 4-hour resistance formed around 2000. Looking at the hourly time frame, what do we see? We have also another hourly resistance that matches with the 4-hour resistance, and that's the same thing on the 30-minute time frame. The 15-minute looks messy. I would say the first target for buys could potentially be 2000, targeting this 4-hour resistance formed previously. Now the second target for buys, what we're going to do is we're going to put a line again to where the daily high was formed on Friday at 2004. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, now we have a rejection on the 4-hour retracement, a huge rejection, and then we also have a rejection from previously. Looking on the left and dropping down to the hourly, what do we see? We have an hourly resistance, the same level really. Looking at the 30-minute time frame, this is a 30-minute resistance around 2004-300. I would say a second target for buys could potentially be 2004, targeting the daily wick fill, which also will be a retest of this weekly resistance as well. So now to look for potential sells, and going back to the daily, the first thing we can see is we can see this daily support formed around 1984-700, Drop it down to the 4 hour time frame, and on the 4 hour the candles look really messy. As you can see, the body of the candles look really small, so that's when you know price have been consolidating on the low time frame. Now when we drop down to the hourly time frame, we can clearly see this is a messy range. So when you see price ranging like this, the best thing to do is to skip those time frames and just focus on the high time frame. Now of course we might see price breaking below this level and then rejecting this area, but the targets could be based on the high time frame. So I would say the first target for sells could potentially be 1984.700, which matches a daily support and the 4 hour support formed recently. The second target for sells, now what we're gonna do, looking on a weekly, okay, so that's too far. Looking at the daily, we have this daily low. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, on the 4 hour we have this 4 hour support formed around 1981, and then dropping down to the hourly time frame, again the same level of support. Looking at the 30-minute time frame, we have this messy range on the 30-minute time frame, and it looks really messy on a low time frame basically. So I would say the second target for sells could potentially be 1981, targeting the 4 hour support formed on the 2nd of November 2023.
Dominion Markets, your trading sanctuary.